All right, folks, welcome to our presentation, Introduction to Shinto. So what is Shinto? Well, Shinto is the Japanese religion of Kami no Michi, or the Way of the Gods. And it is an ancient religion concerned with the origin of the Japanese people and of Japanese society. And Shinto is often considered both a religion as well as a form of patriotism. That is, Shinto is not what we would call a universalist religion. It is not considered with like the fate or the problems of humanity, but more or less it is considered to be a local religion which is almost exclusively concerned with the Japanese people. And in a nutshell, Shinto is a belief system which preaches harmony with nature, establishes the Japanese as people of divine origin, and at one point recognized the emperor as divine. Now, as we mentioned before, Shinto is the religion of Kami no Michi. So who or what are the Kami? So the Kami refer to natural and supernatural spirits and powers that are present everywhere in nature and in people. So Shinto is what we refer to as an animistic religion, which adheres to the idea that the divine or spiritual is completely present within the natural world. So the kami are present within trees, within rocks, within the atmosphere. Even the Japanese people themselves are considered to be kami. Now, although the kami exist in all natural and supernatural things, there are three primary, what we call heavenly kami. The kami of the sun, Amaterasu. The kami of storms, Susanoo. And the kami of the moon, Tsukuyomi. And the foundational sacred text of the Shinto tradition is the Kojiki, which is translated as the Chronicles of Ancient Events. And it is basically a collection of myths and legends of the kami, the origin of Japan, and the lives of ancient Japanese heroes. And of course, for this week, we are going to read a selection from the Kojiki, the creation myth of Izanagi and Izanami, also known as the myth of the plane of high heaven. And it is in this myth that it is described that Japan, that is the islands of Japan, are of divine origin. Indeed, each of the islands of Japan are considered to be kami. Now, what is also discussed in the Kojiki is the origin of the first human emperor, Jimmu, who is believed to be the nephew of the sun kami, Amaterasu. Hence, the emperor himself is considered to be of divine origin, his lineage beginning with the kami Amaterasu. And according to our textbook, there are three different types of Shinto practices. Practices associated with state Shinto, or patriotism, feelings of duty to the country and loyalty to the emperor, at least at one point. And rituals associated with sectarian Shinto, which are ancient nature practices like religious pilgrimage and certain ritual purification practices. And rituals associated with domestic Shinto, which are devotional practices which are held in public and household shrines, which are dedicated to the kami. So what is the human condition and what is the human solution according to the Shinto religious tradition? Well, the human condition is that human beings alienate themselves from the wisdom and presence of kami. That is, human beings have a tendency to forget that they are kami, to forget that kami are present in the natural world, and, because they have jobs and families and things like that, and people just kind of forget about the kind of enchanting nature of the world. So the solution to this is to experience close proximity with the kami by worshiping at shrines, participating in religious pilgrimages, and taking part in acts of ritual purification, which allows one to kind of remember, as it were, the enchanting kind of world of the kami in the natural in the natural flow of things. Now, there are probably thousands of Shinto shrines throughout Japan, but a couple of the most famous would be the shrine at Ise, which is dedicated to the kami Amaterasu, and the Yasukuni Shrine, which is dedicated to Japanese soldiers who gave their life for their country. Other popular Shinto practices would be that of water purification practices, like standing beneath waterfalls. And the logic behind this is that when you cleanse yourself through water, you are in a sense cleansing yourself of so-called sin, because the kami are considered to be pure and sacred. So by cleansing yourself, you are allowing yourself to become closer, as it were, to these kami. Going on pilgrimage to sacred sites is also very popular in Shinto practice. And here we have a picture of a mountain shrine area. And the logic behind this is that the higher you go in elevation, climbing these kind of sacred mountains, the closer that you will be to the heavenly kami. Other popular practices would be to visit local Shinto shrines, to pray to the kami and to ask for their assistance in our lives. And if you were to visit a Shinto shrine, you will also notice that there are these pools of water which are used for ritual purification. And what is interesting about the Shinto tradition is that Japan is often regarded as this kind of technologically advanced modern society. And yet what is interesting is that the Japanese people are still very much interested in practicing Shinto. So there's this very interesting picture that we're going to end with of a Shinto priest blessing the laptops of these employees. So again, kind of an intermixing of the modern world with the ancient world, as witnessed through the Shinto tradition.